Identity as we know it begins to form from the instant we take our first breath. We start off as a blank slate, an open book waiting to be written. Our early years are filled with first steps, first sights, first discoveries. Each of these moments shapes us, adds a brushstroke to the canvas of our character. As we move through adolescence, the picture becomes more complex. Little by little, we become a mosaic, a multifaceted collage, a puzzle formed from the fragments of our life. There comes a day where we grasp the paintbrush ourselves. We realize that we need not be defined solely by circumstance, that we have the power to paint our own future. We awaken to find that we can reshape our identity. Our identity continues to evolve, but now as an intentional work of art, guided by our own hand. We are the artist and the masterpiece. It is time to step into a greater identity. This is the gateway to your alternate life.
Hello, gorgeous people of Identity Work VIP. This is our last VIP call. It wraps it all up together. I am very excited to deliver this for you. This program, the whole thing, the whole identity concept has actually completely changed my world. I think about the beginning stages of creating this, knowing it was an invisible offer, and you guys not knowing it was an invisible offer, what I felt inside, knowing I was going to deliver this. The feeling of the graphics coming together, the concept, and it comes to bring forward what I want to share with you for the beginning of this class is that for me to be able to produce this level of masterpiece for you, I have to never forget that I'm important, that I matter, that the quality of my work matters to you, that if I nail it, it's going to touch you, that if I nail it, you're going to get it. I have to know that every day of my life in order to not give up innovating. Because every time we put out a new animation, every time I do a new program and someone says, this is the best one yet, there's two parts of me. One part that goes, yes, and the other part that goes, oh, what's the next one going to be? Am I ever going to be able to go even further and bring them further into this? And to be able to consistently create and evolve more, it can't just come from a place of I need to, or I should, or I'll disappoint people if I don't, because that you can't create magic with that. It's got to come from my work is so important. Let me give this everything I've got. What else have I got? And I'm often asked, like, how did you come up with that? And then you came up with, the next masterclass. Did you already know Mission to Millions was going to come after Great Leap? It feels like it's all so connected. Did you know? And it's like, I didn't. But as I take every step, becoming this person that I believe matters in this world and acting accordingly and having standards that are higher than I've ever had them and constantly bringing my best self forward, it's like more unlocks for me and I'm able to produce more. But I've got to decide I matter. I've got to decide I matter to you. I've got to decide my work matters. I've got to decide my work matters to you. And that's how everything unlocks. And charisma, identity work, charisma, sold, Mission to Millions, coming the art of leadership, coming, like there's so many things coming. And it's like, how does all this stuff continue to evolve is because I'm on this frequency of I am very important. And it doesn't just cost me if I go backwards. It doesn't just cost me if I stop. I've got people moving on this planet. That's a rare thing. So this matters. So what's next? It matters with all of my heart. It doesn't just matter for show. It doesn't just matter for money. It matters for everything. And so my entire heart, soul, spirit goes into creating these things. And it's such a beautiful thing, but I thought I'd share that with you because it's not possible to create that and think at the same time, no big deal. They'll like it, whatever I make. It's not possible to put this out there and go, if I do one that's not great, I'll get away with it. It would never be produced this way unless I was like, this is the most important thing I've ever done. And the next thing is the most important thing I've ever done. And the next thing is the most important thing I've ever done. And so when you start living your life like this, two things start to happen. First of all, your self-concept, your self-identity concept starts to grow with every move you make. It's inevitable. Every decision you make is made within the context that you are so important, and every move you make is so important and it matters. Your self-identity concept keeps growing. But the other thing is that you start attracting people who deeply value the work, the care, the importance of what you're doing. And then magic starts to happen. Because I can tell you, I've been in this work for a long time, and it's a lot harder to sell any of this work to a person who doesn't understand that they matter. It's like, okay, I'm going to sell you this relationship coaching stuff. And it's like, well, I don't think I matter in my relationship, and I don't think it would matter if I changed. Well, then why would you buy it? You know, I'm going to sell you this social media thing. It's like, well, I don't believe I matter. I don't believe I matter online. And I don't believe it would matter if I tried to learn it, because I don't think I matter anyway. So what's the point? Well, then you're right. There is no point. You know, I'm going to teach you this selling concept. It was like, but I suck at sales and nobody wants what I sell anyway, and I'm not good at it, and I don't matter, and what I'm selling doesn't matter. Well, there's not much point of buying that there either, is it? So it's got to be like, my product is amazing. What I'm doing in this world matters. My leadership matters. Who I am matters. Teach me everything. That's the only way that people actually come into my world and do what I would like them to do, which is to come in and move with me and to not stop moving, so that we can actually do something in this world instead of cha-cha. A couple of steps forward, a couple of steps back, a couple of steps forward, a couple of steps back. Like I like to dance, but I want to run. There's things we've got to do here, and I want to do them. And so I've got to be speaking to people who know they're very important. So this brings the next piece of the puzzle, the last piece of the puzzle that I want to talk to you about today, which is the fact that it's very hard to treat someone else like a very important person if you don't know that you're a very important person, because you'll only give people what you think they need. And I feel like there is a very common denominator, a common thread in everything that I hear when people are talking about having given everything and it didn't work, and it all sounds the same. I gave them everything. And how do you say that sentence and it ends with, and they didn't care, and it didn't work, and it didn't change anything? Like, then you didn't give them everything. You gave them everything you thought they wanted. This is what most people do. When you don't understand what it means to be a very important person, you don't know how to treat people like they're very important, in which case you give them everything you wish you had, which is not at all what they need or what they want. People who know they're very important don't need the basics. They've already got the basics. But the people who don't feel very important need the basics. So they'll overgive the basics to everyone, where people are like, well, this is nice. This is not what I need at all. And I gave you everything. You gave me everything you thought I wanted. You gave me everything you lack. So the key to us really actually understanding and shaping this understanding of VIP and how it can actually help us in growing our businesses and in finding those people that are certain, anything like you have a hair salon and people don't care about their appearance, what's the point? If they don't feel like a very important person, why are they going to pick the most beautiful hair salon with the people that have the state of the art techniques? What's the point? They're not important, neither is their haircut. You know, you might have the greatest technology in nails that make your nails look like an extension of your hand, and you're the most elegant woman in the world, but like you don't care about your hands, you're never going to show them, you never go anywhere, you don't care. What's the point? What's the point of anything if you don't care, if you don't value yourself? There's no point. So every business that has that creative passion is wanting people who see themselves as very important. If you even take a second to contemplate it, you'll see it for yourself. There's very little value in you trying to sell something to someone that doesn't value it, which means you've got to speak to people who know that they're very important. Yet in most of our marketing, we speak to people who aren't important, who want to feel important. You don't feel good, you feel like this and you feel that, but you would like to feel this, instead of You're this, you're this, you're this, you're this, and you expect this. And so the VIP treatment is not about making unimportant people feel important. The VIP treatment is about acknowledging very important people and treating them as well or better as they treat themselves. So why is the VIP hotel so amazing is that you're going to get everything you get at home and more. And if it's a gorgeous hotel and you have a gorgeous house, that makes sense. Like if I have a multi-million-dollar house and I go to the best suite in the best hotel, then I'm getting better, as great or better as my house. That's the point. If you say to me, you come away at the hotel because your house is ugly and we're going to give you so much more here than you get at home. And it's like, here's the VIP treatment. You have a coffee machine, hot water, a shower tub combination. It's like, hang on a second. This is luxury if I live in a one-bedroom apartment in New York City and I have only a shower and a tiny bathroom. And if I try to dry my hair while my partner makes a coffee, the whole apartment blows up. But this is not exactly luxury for me when I'm leaving my house where I have a beautiful state-of-the-art coffee machine and running water and plot twist, 2 bathrooms. Like this is not luxury. Oh my God, you've been to my old place. That's hilarious. So what is luxury is to say we treat you at the minimum the way you treat yourself. But the crazy thing is not VIP is actually the same thing. We treat you exactly the way you treat yourself. People go where it feels right. So they'll say, why would I do VIP? What's the point? Exactly. That's how we feel about you as well. Or you'll say, VIP, that's me. I'll say, I know, come. One is I treat you like you treat you, and that's a good thing. And the other one is I treat you like you treat you, and that's unfortunate. But they're both, you get treated by the businesses, the people, the places, the way you treat you. VIP is just your way of declaring with a little badge, I like to be special. I treat myself as such, and I expect people to do the same. So a lot of times it is difficult to choose VIP because we're telling people, I think I'm special and I treat myself that way normally. And so I would expect you to treat me that way. And that feels weird sometimes because we're like, I don't want to sound this. And I don't want it to look like that. And I don't want it to be that. The thing is, it isn't about what it looks like. It's about what it is. And so if who you are is the most down-to-earth, awesome person, but you treat yourself like gold and you always choose VIP, you will be the greatest, most fun VIP client. If you don't feel like VIP, but you want to treat yourself VIP and you think you should be VIP and you don't treat yourself well, but you're going to spend all this money just to get VIP treatment, you'll have all this expectation of what it should be. You feel like you don't belong and the whole thing blows up anyway. So what I'm seeing is a lot of people misunderstanding VIP and just making it the more expensive option. VIP is not you get more because you paid more. That's not VIP. VIP is what you're getting is priceless. So the price is kind of ridiculous because it could be anything because it's priceless what you're getting. It's the priceless view. Like I remember when Kevin and I stayed at the Georges V Hotel in Paris and we stayed in their like royal suite. The view is the most breathtaking thing I've ever seen in my life. How do you put a price on that? You don't. You could charge whatever you wanted. It's priceless. But people won't buy it. What's the market? Who cares if no one buys it? It gets to be the one room that is just the thing. The fact that you have that room in your hotel makes your hotel even more extraordinary. You have that suite. It could be $100,000 a night if you want it. It doesn't even matter. It's priceless. It's for the people who do not buy based on price. Well, that's not fair. I want to stay there. You wouldn't even be able to notice the detail. And this is the thing that I realized when I was there. At first, when we booked it, I was like 25,000 euros for a night. That's insane. But also my coaching's $500,000 a year. And I like being in places that make me feel like, whoa, that's insane. What is it? What makes it so extraordinary? And so Kevin and I often talked about when we were there, how easy it would be for a person who doesn't understand value to not understand the value of the suite. Like I buy orchids for myself at home. They're my favorite flower. Stemless or like cut orchids. One cut orchid is $80. One stem. This whole place is full of them. They're around the bath. They're by my window. They're everywhere. I'm like, how is this possible? Like, I'm just doing the math for the flowers. And I'm like, okay. Okay. The kind of alcohol that's in the fridge, I recognize the fridge. I understand what the alcohol is. I know what a bottle of Remy Martin costs of that year. I know what a bottle of Dom Pérignon of that year costs. I know what those things cost. They're in my fridge. I could just open them. They're right there. I know the brand of glassware that's there in front of me. Like it's Baccarat glasses, like in the hotel room. If someone breaks one of those, it's hundreds of dollars for one glass. And they're just putting them in the room, a collection of them in the room. The furniture, the floor, the tiling, the marble, the light fixtures, the way the lights come on and off, the cleanliness of the white carpet with not one thing out of place, the way the bed was made, the cushion, the pillows, everything about it. It's just like the products that are in the bathroom, everything's Guerlain products, like top of the line. And if you add it up, it's like, of course, this is what it is. But if someone comes in and they don't know the brand of the products, it's soap. There's no value. If people don't understand the brand of the glasses, or they don't even understand to themselves the difference between drinking in a glass like that or a normal glass, that's not valuable. If they don't understand the value of the material the bath is made out of and the floor is made out of and the toilet, it's the top of the line bidet toilet. I was just like, I want this toilet. I was staring at the toilet like, this is just out of this world. And it's so funny because one of my clients ended up going to that exact hotel room, about a year after me. And she was like, I was so fascinated by the toilet. I was like, me too. I knew I'd found my person. Like it's the details. But most people are like, it's the toilet. I'm not even thinking about the toilet. But when you see the value in everything, the value increases. I was just surrounded by every detail, every little thing I could see. Oh my gosh, look what this is. Look at the coffee table books, what brands they are, what year they are. Look at the artwork on the wall. How is this possible? The flowers of this. Luxury is all about the detail. So why is luxury all about the detail? Is because very important people put a lot of detail in their work when they believe they're very important. When you don't believe you're very important, you don't put that much detail. You say, it's good enough. When you're making cookies for your kid, it doesn't matter that they're not perfectly shapen, but when you're in a Michelin star restaurant, every cookie looks exactly the same or you lose a freaking star. Like you can't, it's perfect. It's in the details. How much does it matter? How perfect is it? So the thing is, being a very important person means having a lot of responsibility, because you can't just be flippant about things. You can't just say, I did my best. It's got to be, I did it. And if it wasn't to my standard, I did it again until I got it right, because that's who I am. And the most infuriating thing, because there's a flip side. Now you're going to recognize the most beautiful things in the world. Now you're going to attract incredible people. You're going to do all this, but you know what else you're going to attract? The duality of seeing how most people on earth could not care less about VIP treatment. Not for themselves, not for you. So this is where it starts to feel, and you've got to actually check yourself with this. Like, why is it that I can't ever find anyone that treats me the way I treat people? I finally get one morning to myself. I stop at Starbucks. I get myself a coffee. I get halfway down the street. I realize it's the wrong coffee. Why? Why? Because it's Starbucks. You did not go to the Ritz-Carlton for your coffee. You went to Starbucks. You can't expect the barista at Starbucks to give you VIP treatment the way you give VIP treatment to your greatest clients. It's Starbucks. But if they had a VIP line where you paid $100 a month to go to a different window and to get a different kind of coffee done properly, then you would get a different coffee. But would you pay $100 a month to be VIP at Starbucks? Actually, maybe you would. Maybe so many people would. Maybe it'd have to be $1,000. This is where the value starts to increase. Because VIP also has to be expensive enough that not enough people want to do it so that you can actually give the service you want to give. Like, I remember when I first started having my private clients, I charged $100 an hour. And I gave them everything. Like, I gave them everything, all of me. They literally, I would have given them my kidney if I could. Like, they got everything. But then eventually I had like 30 private clients and people were just like, Melanie Ann Layer, you need to be her private client. And I was like, okay, we need to change prices here. So my price went up. $1,000 a month, $2,500 a month, 3,333, 444, 5,555. People are just wanting more. So I raised it to 10,000. I had a wait list for a year. So I raised it to 15,000. I still had a wait list for a year. So I raised it to 33,000. I still had a wait list for a year. So I raised it to $500,000 a year and I still had a wait list. So I closed my private clients. I said, okay, I can't. I need a break. It's just not available anymore. And all the time, people, when are you going to reopen your private coaching? When are you going to reopen your private coaching? When are you going to reopen your private coaching? It's $500,000 and it's closed and people are like, tick, 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 tick. But this is the thing with VIP. I would have to be available to give someone all of me. So now the question is, who's VIP enough to be my client? And that's a question I didn't know to ask before. I knew that I was very important and that it was cool to want to be my client, but I never considered what happens when your client doesn't see themselves as a very important person. They don't have a lot of self-worth or self-esteem. As soon as they're not happy, they have no reputation. They talk all kinds of crap. They do crazy things. Oh, that's dangerous. So I learned a lot on the VIP journey because it's like, really, when you are your most valuing of yourself, you're going to want to hang out with people who are at the most valuing of themselves. And that's actually a really hard thing to do because your heart will never stop wanting to help people who don't value themselves. Your heart will never want to stop helping people who can't see themselves. Your heart will never stop wanting to help people who struggle with their own self-identity concept. You'll want to motivate them and inspire them. And you might be able to for a moment, but if you do it too much, they get their value and their importance from you making them feel important. And if they ever run out of resources to hire you, or if you ever run out of space because so many people want you and you're running out of space, they then believe that you don't care about them anymore. And they blame you for the fact they don't feel important in their lives anymore and they hate you. So there's a lot of contemplation when it comes to VIP. Is it good? Are you willing to really expand the understanding of it? Are you willing to be responsible with it? Are you willing to stay humble even though you're very important? Are you able to understand, although I am very important, I understand that I take responsibility when I put myself in an environment that doesn't treat me like I'm important. That is my decision to do that. When I have a friend that isn't even capable of treating themselves like they're important, am I going to hold them accountable to make me feel important? When I'm in a fight with my partner who thinks he doesn't matter, and I know I matter and everything I do is with the utmost detail, and he gives up and he doesn't even want to fight with me because he thinks he's going to fail, can I be mad at him for that? Or did I choose a person that didn't have the same self-identity concept as me because I wanted to help and I saw his greatness and I saw his potential? We do this. So if you really want to be in your life this frequency and attract to this frequency, there's a lot of different things that you're going to need to be able to hold. The height of the frequency, the beauty of it, the absolute value, the respect, the reverence, the like, I honor what you created. I can't believe how beautiful it is. The materials, the textures, the art, what it took, what it is. Oh my gosh, the concept, the genius. I see the value. And also, I could sleep on the floor with a blanket that's too small underneath the stars and feel like the luckiest person in the world because I'm very important, but also I'm alive and I'm happy to see the small things in life and I'm happy. And I'm able to recognize a person that sees themselves as valuable, and together the sky isn't even the limit, but I'm also capable of seeing a person who really struggles with their own value, and I'm not going to expect them to treat me like a VIP. I don't need that from everybody. I'm not going to get insulted like, do you know who I am? What do you mean you don't have a special glass for my champagne at this? Outback Steakhouse. I'm Melanie Ann Layer. Were you not prepared? I called in advance. Shocking, appalling, 1 star. This restaurant's a scam, you know? It's not, you can't do that. It's gotta be like, I see the value. It's my vibe, it's my style. I take myself there. Or totally just chill, probably not going to be treated VIP at all. Let me park my high horse and let me just have an okay meal and just not care, because that's what I'm going for. But you can't go to a restaurant that serves not great food and sends your steak back because it's not perfect and be like, when I cook this at home on my state-of-the-art barbecue, it comes out perfect. And I was expecting the grill marks like you put on the TV. It's like, no. It's like they have 150 steaks going out in the hour. They're already ready. They're just reheating. It's a different life. You've got to know that, because it's also being mature. Like, and you don't want to be snotty either, because this is the truth, is you don't want to just be like, oh, I would never go to steakhouse. That's like, okay, then have a cocktail and a bread roll. Like, doesn't even matter. Don't even have the steak. Have a good time. Life is light. Life is beautiful. Life has limitless possibilities. You're in charge of your experience. When you are a very important person, you also have standards of how you treat establishments that are very clear that they're not the VIP thing, like their price point, their marketing, their menu, their staff, their location, their branding. It all tells you we're doing our best, not we are the best. But can you appreciate this waiter is doing their best? This young girl at the front's doing her best. This cook in the back's doing their best. This is good. Cool. Good for you. You did your best. It's not my best. You didn't do my best. But if I would have cooked you a steak tonight, I would have charged you $10,000. So go the keg, go steakhouse that's got a, Ruth's Chris or whatever, where you're like, this is okay. People let things ruin their entire life. These fries are cold. You're gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. But then where do you need to invest in what's really important to you? And where can you grow and stretch? And also, do you eventually end up making decisions that are just entirely different? I wouldn't go there. It's not my standard. It doesn't make me feel like I've lived today to go there. So I wouldn't do it. Now, in the concept of VIP to VIP, which is something that I really value, for me in Alpha Femme, it's what I hope for us. Alpha to alpha, VIP to VIP, shoulder to shoulder, equal power, but different. What it looks like is to say, you are a very important person, whether you see it or not. But if you can't see it, I will not expect for you to do anything for me at the standard that I expect. My expectations for you will go. We don't do that. We expect everyone will see our value if we're important. People ask me all the time, how do you stay feeling like a very important person when your family doesn't see it, when your friends don't see it, when your boss doesn't see it? How do you stay in the vibe that you're a very important person? It's in the knowing that if they can't see that you're very important, they probably can't see that they are either. And you could probably see it in all kinds of different ways. You've got a friend that's still with a boyfriend that's not the right boyfriend, and constantly got this one friend that's a jerk to her and she keeps being friends with her for no reason. And, your siblings don't have the job that they could have. They're just playing around and being mad at the boss that doesn't give them what they need and what they want. And they're constantly complaining about their job, and they're in a marriage that they're mad about. And you're upset that they can't see that you're a very important person. You're going to let that stop you from claiming you're a very important person. It kind of seems like their main problem is not their ability to see you, but the ability to see themselves. This is why you've kind of got to give people a break. It's like, how am I going to expect you to see me in a way you can't even see you if my dream is that we're shoulder to shoulder? It doesn't serve me that you see me as great. If you see you as not great, then you'll imagine all kinds of things about me, that I should be better, that I should be perfect, that I should know better, that's not going to help me either. I only want to be seen as extraordinary by people who see themselves as extraordinary. If not, I'm on a pedestal. I should be this, I should be that. I am expected this, I don't want that either. So what are we really doing with this identity work? What's the point? It's the understanding that you've got to shape your self-concept, and it has to be entirely separate from what other people think about you. Because for some people, the only reason they can't see that you're amazing is because if they can't see that they're amazing, there's just no way to see that you're amazing. It's just not possible. And if they did see it, you wouldn't like what they expected of you. And we see that all the time. Oh, you'd expect so much more from this kind of celebrity. They make so much money, you'd expect so much more from this. I'm so disappointed at the way that they said that and the way they did this. And it's like, you think these people are perfect because they're rich? They're just people that are good at this part in business that made them money. You want them to be perfect here because what? Because you don't think you're important and they seem like they're important, so they should be perfect. We don't even want that. So how did I get myself to actually believe and to see I'm a very important person? Was not because other people started treating me that way. I really actually started seeing myself as a very important person by myself in the front seat of a car. And that's the truth. And it was kind of weird how it happened. I talked a little bit about this in Mission to Millions yesterday. But what started to happen for me is it actually started to feel like, what if this is all for me? Like when I first said life happens for me, I never knew anybody on earth else said that, because this is how the concept of life happens for you happened for me. I got this feeling like, what if somehow these books that are falling in my lap were written for me all those years ago? I was supposed to find them. What if this YouTube video I just listened to was actually recorded for me? When it was recorded, God put the words in the mouth of the person who said them, and they were meant for me to fall on them. They were said for me. Then how would I listen? If I actually thought God orchestrated this walk, God orchestrated this connection, the creating of that book and my reading of it, the creating of this video and my listening of it, that was created for me. What if life is happening for me? Then how do I actually value this stuff? I would value that book so much more if I thought it was written for me. I would value that podcast episode so much more if I thought it was written for me. Why am I finding it? Was it written for me? Was it posted for me? Was it said for me? And if it was, then I'm the one. I'm a very important person. And what if I don't read it after it was written for me? And what if I don't listen to it after it was written for me? What will happen? Why was I supposed to find it? Is it like 25 years before her birth, the skies opened and the knowledge came, and the man wrote the book, and the book went on a shelf until 25 years later she opened the book and she read the book and she received the knowledge, and because of that, she started to ponder things that then made her believe that she was capable of more, and because of that, she started being more hungry and reading more books, and more podcasts came into the planet, and more leaders emerged, and a new book was born, and it was written for her, and she found it and she read the pages. And because of that, like, what if that's actually what's happening? And I led myself to actually feel that in all of my body. Everyone's existing for me. This is for me. Because there's so many people that I will never meet and never see. Why is it that I'm seeing and meeting the ones that I am? Why not? Why wouldn't it be for me? And even if it isn't, wouldn't it serve me to live like it was for me? Instead of that it's for everybody and it doesn't matter and it's flippant, wouldn't it actually serve me to say, this is for me? I'm that important. This matters. The way I read it, the way I listen, the way I change, the way I learn, the way I grow, the fact that I do this work, the fact that it worked. If God did write that book for me 25 years ago and I found it, then I should read it, I should get it, I should learn from it. Then it is for me. And this is when the concept for me of the power of one really dropped. If I do a course and one person gets it, then it was meant for that one. I'm a very important person. God chose me to say things. Maybe they were for you. So if I believe that and you believe that, this is going to be one heck of a breakthrough. Because if I'm important enough to be given this information and you're important enough to be the one listening to it, there's a reason for that. And what if we both valued that and believed that? Then I would feel how much you matter in my life. And you would feel how much you matter in your life, and you would feel how much I matter in your life, and I would feel how much I matter in my life. And all of a sudden, this would matter. And if it matters, it's a different game already. It's not just another thing I listen to. It's a very important thing that just happened to me. And that's how my life started to change. My clients became very important people because why did God send me this one person? And why it hurt so much when some of them changed their minds about me or left. I was like, what did I do wrong? But what I started to realize is them leaving was also for me. Because I hadn't asked myself, did they know they're a very important person? Or am I just excited for them to see it? So I started changing my marketing to saying, she who leads herself. You've got to know you matter. You can't come to me needing validation because I won't give you validation. I'll give you power, but I'll expect you to be so strong and so powerful. I won't bend the rules for you. I won't treat you any different than what I'm telling you in advance. You're gonna have to show up and rise and do this work. Being very important doesn't mean, well, if I'm important, then you'll do this for me, because that's you testing that you're important, not you knowing it. If you know you're important, you say, I'm really important. I'm important to this person, and I would not put them in that situation. If you're not sure you're important, you test things. If you're not sure you're important in your relationship, you say, well, maybe we shouldn't be together anymore. When you know you're important, you say, I would never hurt him like that. I would never even make him question his love. But when you don't know you're important, you say, you know what? Maybe you don't love me. Maybe this is over then. You don't realize the pain you're causing because you don't know you're important. When there's a friendship on the line and you say, well, if you feel like that, maybe we shouldn't be friends. That's because you're not sure you're important and you want to test it. If you know you're important, you say, let me deal with this because this person loves me a lot and I don't want to say something that's going to hurt them. That's the kind of responsibility that a very important person takes on in their life. If I'm that important, my words matter. What I say matters. How I say it matters. The people around me, they listen to me and they listen to what I say and the way I say it. And I could hurt them. I could make them feel really sad if I wasn't careful with my words. If I just said them because it doesn't matter, it would, because I'm that important. If I forget something I said I'd do, it'll be weird because I'm important and my word is important to people. I've got a responsibility towards that. So most of us choose not to be important just so we don't have to have the responsibility. If I don't matter, then it doesn't matter if I don't go. It doesn't matter if I cancel. It doesn't matter if I fail or I don't show up. It doesn't matter. But if I matter, then I matter. And that's a whole life of that. It's a big responsibility. But it's an extraordinary life because people just know how to keep making things for people who are like, you want to try something next level? We've developed something next level. I'm always so excited to have companies want to show me things because they know I value everything. So they'll be like, you have to come see our new collection. I'm friends usually with the managers of the branches. I'll be friends with the manager of, let's say, the YSL store in Toronto. And so they opened a brand new one on Bloor Street. And Ashley calls me. She was like, Melanie, you've got to come. I'm shutting the store down. Like, for you, you just got to come. We'll be just us. We'll come before hours. I'll come in early for you. We'll have champagne. I've got to show you the store. And I'm like, I'm coming. She knows I care. She comes in early for me. She shows me around the store. Brand new store. Brand new store. Like, state of the art store. Gorgeous. All the things, opening all the drawers for me. I'm walking around with champagne in this store on Bloor Street. Can you see this? Are you seeing this? I'm like, girl, it's incredible. You must be so happy. This is so amazing. You think she took a tour, private tour with every person? No, because that doesn't feel good. When you're the manager of one of the coolest, most beautiful stores, you want the client that values you, the products, and the store. the very important person that understands the very important privilege that it is. You see, in order to be a match, it's not just like, well, Melanie's very important, so let's have her come. No, it's got to be a win-win-win. You know who's going to make me feel so good about this decision? Melanie Ann freaking Layer. Get the champagne. Let's open the store early. This is going to be a whole vibe. When you become that person, people open the stores for you. They'll say, this normally isn't on the menu, but you said you were coming, and so we've got this special thing for you. They'll say, we knew you were coming because you made a reservation, so we created this special cocktail for you. They'll say, I know you love this and we don't usually have this, so we got it in special. I shop at Cartier. I let them know in advance I'm coming. The manager at Cartier, I show up, she's got caviar on the table waiting for me and some pieces that she knows I've been looking at. And she's like, I got them in. They just landed. This one was in Switzerland. This one was in Capri or something. And this one was in Abu Dhabi, and I pulled them all in. And I mean, how does this be a memory in my life? But who values this? Has come all the way from Singapore. This piece, we've been chasing it all around the world. They wouldn't give it to us. It had to clear customs. It's got very special coral on it. Canada wouldn't let us get it through. We had to send it through a fish company in order for us to get it because they had to clear the coral. And I'm like, this is amazing. Whereas the person who doesn't value is like, I don't know what any of that means. Like, why do I care? But when you care, your stories are better. This piece was sent from Singapore. It couldn't come into Canada because there's very unique coral, and Canada's very careful with coral because it's an endangered species. It has to be a sustainable coral. So it had to go through the fishmonger of Canada in order to make sure that it's right and it's sustainable coral. And once it was tested, the piece was sent over along with caviar. And then the whole thing is set up. And I've got this place, and I'm sitting and I'm talking and like, how does that happen? Because I value the person, the piece, the story. When you value things, people want you to be the one. I just painted this piece of artwork. Who's the person who I'm going to have the most amazing experience with? Is the person who values art. Who's that person? I've got this bottle of wine. I have experiences in my life sometimes. Like, I have this bottle of wine that's worth thousands of dollars. I want to drink it with someone who really values wine. Who's going to be that person? Like, how do I manifest this? Because you're not going to drink a bottle of wine that's that expensive and that old on your own. You're going to die. What happens with wine that's that old and that expensive is that the percentage of alcohol intensifies. So after one glass, you're like, heaven. Like, you're in a whole other world. Like, you can't drink the whole bottle. It's something you do with friends. Well, who's going to be your person? Who are you going to open this with? You know, it's like, but what if the person's like, well, I don't really know wine, but I'll be grateful. It's like, no, I want someone who's going to be grateful and knows wine and is going to freak out with me and is going to freak out that I trusted them and is going to freak out. When you start to be that person, the world opens up to you, because then somebody says to someone, you know, I just got this amazing bottle of wine and I wish I could open it with somebody, but I don't know. And someone says, I know someone that would drink this with you. I have a friend. This girl's insane. Probably she'll coach you all night throughout the bottle, but like, you should, okay, let me introduce us. We'll see if we jam. If we jam, you can talk to her about the wine bottle, blah, blah, blah. That'll happen. I know a woman. Yes. I know a woman. You want to live your life experiences with people who value themselves and all the things that you value. And so the only way to do that is to start increasing how you feel about yourself and things and people. And then you can offer VIP experiences to people. But the biggest mistake I see people make is they want to make people feel special that don't feel special. That's not VIP treatment. That's the biggest mistake. That's why if you have a VIP level, it's not really selling. You're putting yourself out there as VIP, it's not really selling. Is that the thing is, you're trying to sell something to people who don't feel that they're important. Come pay for this so that you feel important. That doesn't work. Come do this because you're important. Aha, count me in. Ching. You cannot pay for importance. Only people who feel unimportant would pay for importance, you see? So it doesn't work to make a person pay to be important. It's a sham. That's not how it works. They pay because they're important. They already know they are. That's what gets them there, is their knowing. You pay because you're important. That's your knowing. And so I've been on different podcasts. I've taught classes in sales for really high level companies, and people ask me, like, how do you manage to sell something like AFE or AFE Next that's like $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month? Like, what's the VI, like how, that price point, $20,000, $13,000, and people are just in. Like, what do you say? And I'm like, it's not like that. I don't say something. It's that there's people that are like, my business is important. I'm going to grow it. I've got to learn these things. Where do I want to learn it? There. That's it. That's just the way it happens. I don't ever do, they're like, you don't do sales calls? I'm like, no, because if I have to tell them, you'll see, it's really VIP. Like, that's not it. I do the masterclass for the people who feel like they're important enough that they could spend 5 days and learn something. And then I give them an invitation and I say, if you know you're important and your business deserves the best, then Alpha Femme experience. And if you're already advanced and you're like, I want to take things skyrocket, well, then apply for AFE Next. And if it's a good fit, I'll accept you. And people come in, the right people, and that's it. That's the perfect way for me. But I don't tell people, if you're important, you're going to come. If you really want to feel important, you're going to come. It's like they know. So my greatest thing is attracting people who already know they're important and their businesses are important and that this matters and that this is the best thing to invest in if they want the top of the line business. So my job is less in the selling as it is in the attracting people who already know they're important. And the only way you attract people who already know they're important is by already knowing you're important, because it's like we're drawn to people like that, like a magnet. If I was like, look at me, look, I'm great, I promise, people would be like, good. But it's the fact that it's just, I know, and then the people who know, and then they come. And so if you're in your life, you're like, but where do I find these very important people? How do I find them? They find you, you find each other. It's not like that. The part, like Kevin knows he's a very important person. I don't need to motivate him in saying, you are so important, Kevin. He holds himself like he's the king of England. Like he walks into a room and the room goes, I wonder who that guy is. Everywhere we go, people are like, are you famous? Have I seen you somewhere? You look like a movie director. They look at him. Hello, sir. Everywhere we go, Mr. Scott. Like he has this charisma that is like, oh my God. Nobody knows what he does. It's part of his mystery. He never tells anybody. It's always just like, thank you. You're so hot. What the hell's going on? Like he's an important person, but he was an important person. He just knows that. Like he just feels that. It matters. It matters how he speaks to people. It matters how he looks at people. He's a big guy. It matters how close he stands. It matters the look on his face. It matters what he says and how he says it. All of it matters. He's responsible for his stature. He's responsible for his tone of voice, his big, low voice, his presence. He's got to be responsible for so much of himself that he realizes he's important. He can open a door where no one else can. He can reach a thing on a shelf where nowhere else can. He can create a feeling of safety when there's chaos. That's a big responsibility. He's been able to do that for a very long time. He knows he's important. So we meet, we connect, we're important. Now I know I'm important. He's 6'5.5". So that's like a whole foot more than me and most people. It's so funny because when we're in a crowd, we just look for the head. Like you don't even need to look for a jacket or something. It's like there's a head above the crowd and it's usually Kevin. So and the thing is, he also has, usually he's wearing a fedora hat or a cap on top of that, and he's got his curly hair. Like he's just, everything about him is just it, you know? So you got to be responsible with yourself when you're like that. You can't just be big and tall and, you know, deep voice and be harsh or not in control of your movements or too excitable. Like there's a way you've got to be for other people to feel like they're comfortable. He's had to figure that out because it's that important. Like he's like that. It's amazing. So when you realize like you're important, all the things about you is important. I'm important. All the things about me is important. Now I start to attract people. He starts to attract people. Our business attracts people. Our friendships, our people, we attract people. And so this is what you start doing. You don't say, I want to find a person who makes me feel important. You say, I'm important and I'm excited to find a person who also knows they are. You just changed your entire match on the planet. You don't say, I'm looking for clients who understand my value. You say, I understand my value, so I want to look for clients who understand their own. So this is a fun thing for both of us. And what's amazing is that the people who are on this frequency need very little. They don't need a lot of explaining. There's this understanding. There's this feeling like, that's it. That's it. This is what I need to do for me. This is what I want. This is right for me. This is correct. This is what I'm doing. They actually don't value being pushed at all, because it's like, if I can't feel it for me, you sure as hell can't feel it for me. I'm very important. If I don't know this for me, nobody does. Why are you giving me your advice? Unless I really value your advice and I'm just conflicted. Like, I'm a very important person with a conundrum and I'd love your expertise. But that sounds different than, let me think about it. Well, you know what I think you should do? I don't really care. It never lands the way you think with a person who knows they're important. It just doesn't. So our biggest work to do always is that you know your worth and you know your importance. And if you don't know it and you're like, but I don't know, am I worthy? Then ask yourself, do I care about my life? Do I care about the details? Do I give my attention really, truly? Is there something I'm passionate about? Do I ever do things that I'm like, I am so satisfied by the way I did that? This was a success. I feel at peace with my decision. This was right. It caught me by surprise and it was amazing and I'm satisfied and I'm at peace and it was a success and I feel good. And is that how you feel about your life? Because that's where we've got to get you in order to feel like a very important person. It's that feeling of alignment, of just like, I'm in the zone. And when you're in the zone, it's like, where do I go next with this power? Most people think, well, when I'm in power, I don't go anywhere because I'm fine and I don't need anything. And then when I'm in trouble, then I need to find a solution. But really, if we're going to go for evolution, it's got to be expansion from greatness always. Expansion from greatness always. I'm doing great, so what's next? Things are doing great, so what now? I just nailed that, so what's the next move? This was my most successful thing ever, so now what? This was my best relationship ever, so now what do I want to do? I just had the best night of my life. What do I want to do today? I just had a great conversation with a friend. What do I want to do now? On the back end of a masterpiece, the best time to do something extraordinary is on the back end of a masterpiece. What's your next best move? Because you're important, not because there's something wrong with you. That's the game people play that is not the VIP game. The VIP game is from affair to affair, from event to event, because you're that hot. What's next? Not, what you mean, I still need to figure something out? Still need to do something? I can't just be cozy now? Not if you're very important. You've got places to go and people to see and missions to see made manifest. Like, you've got a world to change. You got big things to do. What's next? From that place where everything you touch matters, where your presence matters, where your conviction matters, where your skills matter and your learning matter and even your attention and your focus matters. Where do you want to put it? When you know you matter, every decision you make is a statement. I'm in. That's a statement. I'm in with that. You make a difference by doing that. No, you make a difference by doing that. So I'll think about it. Maybe. I don't know. I'm worried. I don't know. That's not a use of your power or anything. So you've got something in your business you want to create, but you're like, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough. Okay, so what do you need to do in order to know it's going to be good enough? You're that important. Make it the way you know it's going to be good enough. But then how do I sell it? Make it that you are so obsessed with it and you will not have that question anymore. Where will I find the people who you would walk right past them and not even notice them, and they wouldn't notice you if you walk past them right now with that question? You've got to work on the thing you're doing until you're oozing with joy and you can't wait to bump into a stranger, and then the stranger comes. You can't be going, so you're telling me if I do something good and I like it and then I'll feel good about me and then I'll feel like I can meet those are the steps? It's like, sure. Let's just start with the first step. Let's get you bursting at the seams for what you are and what you have and the opportunities that you have and what you're capable of. Let's get you living to your fullest, and then you'll see you won't even need step 2. It's kind of like that. But how do you know? Because I've been doing this for 10 years. But what if it doesn't work for me? We're going the wrong direction right now. This is the wrong path. But what if I do all that and it doesn't work? Still going down the wrong path. There's only one way, and it works. But for some reason, nobody wants to go in that direction. And it's, you get great and you make a move, and then you get greater and you make another move, and then you get greater and you make another move, and then you realize that you're amazing and you love that your progress is progressing, and then you're proud of you and you're excited, and then you make another move. And then you learn a lesson and you're like, whoa, that was a huge lesson, and you're proud of you, and then you make another move, and then you grow, and then you make another move, and then you meet people who are making moves and you're like, isn't this great? And you're like, yes. And then you make another move, and then you make a move together, and then it's a really great collaboration. Then you high five and you make separate moves, and you go, you're amazing. And they go, you're amazing. And you go your separate ways. And then you make another move, and then it's amazing. Like, that's actually life. From masterpiece to masterpiece, fireworks show, pop, 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 pop. But from, okay, so what do I do now? It's like, well, I might as well do nothing, because that's the frequency of that. Get yourself in action, because you're that important. And it would be such a shame to find out at the end that you were. Oops. If I would have known, I would have played bigger. If I would have known I was important, I would have loved harder. I would have trusted more. I would have gone for my dreams. I would have made a difference. If I would have just known I didn't know. Well, now you know. Live your life like you were born for this, and every single thing that's ever fallen on your path was actually meant for you. This conversation, every opportunity that comes your way, it's just like, live it. Go find out. And then you'll know what it feels like to be a very important person, and you'll know exactly what to give the people that also know they're very important people, and your life will change. That is undeniable. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this VIP piece with me. This has been so fun. And I've loved to be able to open this topic up and talk about it so freely with you. I've had a lot of fun with this. Thank you for your presence. I hope you continue to go back to identity work and rewatch these modules if ever you forget, because this really is a body of work that can move mountains. Like, don't ever go too long forgetting who you are. This is the greatest journey of our life. So remember who you are and reach for the sky isn't even the limit. Thank you for being here. I love you. You're beautiful. You smell nice. And I will see you on the internet.
Our identity as we know it begins to form from the instant we take our first breath. We start off as a blank slate, an open book waiting to be written. Our early years are filled with first steps, first sights, first discoveries. Each of these moments shapes us, adds a brushstroke to the canvas of our character. As we move through adolescence, the picture becomes more complex. Little by little, we become a mosaic, a multifaceted collage, a puzzle formed from the fragments of our life. Comes a day where we grasp the paintbrush ourselves. We realize that we need not be defined solely by circumstance, that we have the power to paint our own future. We awaken to find that we can reshape our identity. Our identity continues to evolve, but now as an intentional work of art, guided by our own hand. We are the artist and the masterpiece. It is time to step into a greater identity. This is the gateway to your alternate life.